All right, today's project is gonna be cleaning this thing up. So I'm gonna pull off the distributor today, throw it in the garbage. Already pulled this cover off. Pull off the rear cover, probably try to get the timing covers off and get them all cleaned up for paint. I want to powder coat the valve covers, which I actually have a powder coating setup. I just measured them. It's gonna be really close if they're gonna fit in my oven or not. I think they'll fit, but it's gonna be like just barely. So start tearing it down, and first things first, probably get the valve covers off and start getting them cleaned up. Apparently this thing sat underneath a tree. I have my doubts about the mileage on this engine because I noticed some interesting things, like there's silicone on the head down there. The coolant passages look absolutely terrible, and the engine itself just looks terrible. It's very rusted, but this is very, very clean valve train. I mean, it looks basically brand new to me. I don't see any problems. There's no staining or sludge, so that's a really good sign there. All right, I just got the fan and the clutch assembly off there. It's time to remove the crank pulley and the bolt. Now, if you're not familiar with the 2JZ, they have a notoriously difficult to remove crank bolt. A lot of people have trouble with these, which I did actually on my other 2JZ. I think we ended up putting a breaker bar on it with like a 10-foot cheater pipe to get it off. So I have the high torque Milwaukee 1/2-inch impact. Let's see if it works. I have my doubts. Wow, that broke it right free. I'm actually pretty surprised that that worked. Not too much corrosion on the bolt, which is definitely helpful. Here's all the timing cover pieces. Took them inside and cleaned them with hot water and Dawn, and then took a Scotch-Brite pad to them. I'm actually gonna paint them wrinkle black, which I think will look pretty good. I have an oven out here to cure it, so I think it should come out pretty well. So I'll go ahead and get it sprayed on there and get them in the oven. These came out pretty awesome. Looks 100 times better than what they did. So happy with the results. Should look good on the engine. I'm thinking candy purple for the valve covers. As crazy as that sounds, I think it'd look pretty cool. I'm not 100% sure if I'll do it, but I'm leaning that way. All right, got some more painting to do just to save some money. This is a crank pulley. These are $400. They do fail because they have rubber that separates from them, but as far as I can tell, this one just looks bad, but it's in fine condition. Serpentine belt tensioner, these are $150, so I'm gonna paint this one up, and I actually have a new pulley on the way for it, because this pulley definitely has some noise to it. So get it cleaned up, get it painted. There's the finished product. Came out pretty good. I thought I was using satin paint, but I guess it was more of a gloss. Still looks good. Looks 100 times better than they did when I started. Pulling the water necks off the Supra because they're getting powder coated. What would make that look green in there like that? And it smells terrible too. I've never seen an engine that has such a coating all over it. It's in all the water passages on this thing. That's probably the original belt. It says Toyota on it. To time a 2JZ like this, super easy since it's the non-BPTI. even if it was a VVTi, it's not that hard. There's one mark on each cam gear and a mark on the crank pulley. Line them up, throw the new belt on. All right, so the crank pulley will not come off by hand. Usually they do, but I think it's just because this one's been on there for a very, very, very long time at this point that it won't. And I have to use a puller. To remove the seal, I'm gonna drill a small little hole in it and start a screw into it, and hopefully I can pull it right out that way. All right, I got the seal in there. Pretty happy with it. Hopefully it doesn't leak, because on the 2JZ, these are notorious for being a pain in the butt. Now I just took some Scotch-Brite to this to try to get this gear to slide back on nicely. It doesn't seem to really want to go still, so I'm gonna give it some slight encouragement. Okay, so I'm deleting the AC and the power steering pump on the 2JZ. I'll still have power steering because the BRZ is electric power steering, and I may try to get the AC going eventually. From what I've read, it's fairly easy. So anyways, to delete that on a 2JZ, the stock idler pulley is not ribbed, and this one's shot anyways. The bearing is cooked. What you need is an S2000 idler pulley, and that actually drops right on here, and it is ribbed, which is what you need. I don't know why, but everything I've read says this will not work and you need to switch to a ribbed pulley. So that's what I'm doing. So this simply just bolts on here, and then it'll be ready to go in the car. I did see where some people had to clearance their tensioner, but mine is fine. I saw some other ones that the design was a little bit different, so they must have changed that at some point throughout the years. Just dug the front sump oil pan out of storage. Got the engine flipped over here. Just need to clean this all up, probably clean up the oil pan too. I haven't looked at it yet, and get it slapped on here because I just ordered the engine mounts. They should be here this week, so I can get this into the car, even though it'll probably come out again. So yeah, let's get this cleaned up. I didn't film it, but I got the windage tray on there, tightened down, cleaned up the oil pan off camera, and I'm about to sit it on there with a fresh coat of silicone on it. Cleaning this silicone off is one of the worst things. My least favorite thing to do on any car. It's always such a pain. So A lot of bolts that go in here, so I'm not even gonna film it. All right, next up is getting the engine mounts onto the engine and then dropping it into the car. I just tried to flip this thing back over and I can't do it by myself. 2JZ weighs somewhere in the neighborhood of 550 plus pounds. So yeah, it's quite heavy, but I think I'll take my engine hoist and hook on there and try to bring it up. So I'm gonna get those slapped on there and then it's going right into the car because I want to see what I'm gonna have to do to the transmission tunnel to get the transmission to fit. I have read that the stock radiator will not cool a 2JZ, and I'm starting to believe it because that thing is the smallest, thinnest little radiator I've ever seen. I got the top support out here, kind of rusty, but it came out. Pull that stuff out, try to pull this crash bar off and get the engine in here. All right, I got the car up in the air. I'm gonna have to do some clearancing. The sway bar is hitting the oil pan here, and the steering rack is also hitting on the rib there. So I'm gonna have to pull the engine back out and clearance that stuff. I didn't realize it, but the engine's not all the way down because of that. This is that transmission mounting that I'm gonna have to remove. I'm gonna try to do it without destroying it because I might be able to move this back and actually use it for my transmission. So yeah, engine's coming back out. Okay, engine's back out. I want to cut these off because I'm not going to do the heater core. I don't think you can do it. I found a couple guys online who actually pull it in the inside and change it to AN lines, but I'm not doing that. I'm not really concerned about heat. You can tell this strut tower brace needs to come out. It's going to be in the way once the valve covers are on there. And the wiring harness, I'm probably going to take off this plastic and try to run the harness more over there. So it's good to see the engine in there, but more work to do before it can be bolted in. All right, got the engine back out of here. I'm gonna remove this brace. So there's a spot weld there, spot weld there, spot weld there, and then of course across the top it's welded. So I guess I'll take the Dremel or something to it, try to get it out of there. All right, got the engine back in here again with the strut tower brace removed. Fits a lot better towards the back. See how tight that is in there. I think it might have to come back out again. I'm gonna have to grind more on the oil pan because it doesn't look like the mounts are still sitting all the way down, but I'm about to put it up in there and check. All right, that's gonna be it for this video. If you made it this far, I'm pretty surprised because I feel like this is a pretty boring one. Engine's got to come out again for more clearancing. The next video, I need to get the transmission cross member out of the car. I already got the transmission on the jack. It's going to have to be moved back a couple inches, which is going to be a huge job. But as soon as this engine is bolted into the car, I'm going to start on the wiring harness. I did just pick up a major piece of the puzzle. I got a Haltech Elite 2500, which is going to run the car. And hopefully I can start on the wiring in the next video. As soon as I can start on the wiring, I think this is actually going to go pretty fast as far as getting it running. There's still quite a few things I need to buy, but the ECU was definitely the biggest thing I needed to purchase to get this thing going. Got a really good deal on Black Friday. So yeah, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more.